Rated M for mature.
I'm an average cowboy on the street. I ride a horse with shoes. I don't use my feet. We'll go and have a duel in the middle of the street, and I'll shoot you. You're so dead meat.
Hey Jason, just about all packed? We've only got like 45 minutes to go catch our plane.
Yeah, I'm just missing one thing. I'm missing the camera. Have you seen the camera?
No, I haven't. Have you seen Mark?
Yeah, he's in the shoes office playing the Halo Beta.
God damn it. I'd like to be playing the Halo Beta as well, but I gotta go to Sony. It's time to go.
Oh, there's the camera. Come here, you.
It's one of the last sort of real mythologies of that we have, right? It's very typical good versus evil type setting. It's something that everybody knows. And when we really started getting more into the details of where we really wanted to take the RTS genre and where we wanted to really sort of bring the next sort of revolution in terms of like having real soldiers and real battlefields, we figured that the World War II setting gave us sort of a common starting point. Like everybody knows World War II, and we can really use that to our advantage. Like really for us, when we started Company Heroes, we envisioned a sort of evolving, living franchise. So for us, like Company Heroes wasn't an end point, but really a starting point. So along those lines, we also wanted to make sure that we wanted to tell all the stories of World War II one chapter at a time. And so with the first UH, we sort of focused on the Americans and sort of the landings at Omaha Beach and so the fight up to Cherbourg and down through the Falaise Pocket to close off the Falaise Pocket. What we wanted to do for this next chapter is actually tell sort of the sister story to that. What were the British and Canadian troops that landed at Gold, Juno, and Sword Beach up to and as they were fighting down towards Caen? And with Operation Market Garden, which is the second campaign of this next chapter, is we also wanted to give sort of like the German perspective of things.
Like there are two new campaigns as opposed to one in the first game, and one is from the British side. The cool thing about them is that they're radically different than the American allies that they're already available in the game. So, you know, one of their emphasis is on artillery, but instead of just the howitzers, the standard fixed howitzers of the Americans, they have mobile self-propelled artillery platforms called Prees, and retaliate. So like if the enemy starts firebombing you or something, you know, through the fog of war, you don't know where it comes from, and all of a sudden you've got, you know, missiles raining down on you. You immediately, with counter battery fire, you'll key into the location of that and immediately return like more devastating fire of your own. The other army is the one that, I don't know, it's not going to cause too much controversy, but it's basically Panzer Elite, and instead of, you know, as in the previous game, playing an Axis army for multiplayer, you're actually playing it in a campaign.
And even tough, because you want to win, right? And they want you to win.
Right.
But so how do the cutscenes not convey, like, go Nazis?
Yeah. I mean, it's all dicey, and they know that, but at the same time, it's like, other games have done it, just not big games, not games with backing like, you know, with EA or Ubisoft or THQ or something. Right. But I mean, these are smart guys, and I mean, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You're not going to be running around with the Gestapo. The clear reason it's there is that people like it. I mean, and people like to play Axis on multiplayer because they just have the cool toys, you know. I mean, their tanks are cool. You know, everything that they've got on that side, their tactics and stuff are like, they're able to say it's radically different, you know. And then another thing is that when they're in this campaign, they're of course limited too, you know. I mean, who are their, you know, they can bring in Italians, there are other, you know, small scale things. But if they want the big, you know, set piece battles that they have, that's pretty much their option until they go into the Pacific or something.
For us, like I said before, COH is a sort of living, evolving platform for us, you know. So the first COH is like chapter 1, right? And, you know, we're going to be, you know, we want to release as many chapters as we can. Because first of all, we're really passionate about the game. You know, we really sort of we achieve what we set out to accomplish, right? We really want to make the most visceral, intense, combat-focused RTS out there. And we don't want to stop. We want to keep on going.
How can one company have so many games?
Dude, you know,
And they're all Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
What's crazy is if you look through this book, and when you is that like the first 20 games are all character designed by Tetsuya Nomura.
Well, yeah, like,
He's a good artist, but that's a lot of Tetsuya Nomura.
yeah, being in that theater today, the special theater, and you realize, yeah, really, these are 20 games, and they're all Tetsuya Nomura games, and they're the most important games they have. They like announced that they're going to announce the next Kingdom Hearts game at TGS. There's a teaser for a trailer.
The Kingdom Hearts team is working on Versus 13.
This is true.
They can't be doing a full-on PS3 development for Versus 13 as well.
That's PSP.
Well, I mean, as well as a non-handheld
Right.
Kingdom Hearts like Kingdom Hearts 3.
So, you know, I was so excited to go to that theater today and see all these new trailers because FF13 and Versus 13 are two of my most look forward to games ever. And
Some people say anticipated.
Yeah. And I heard there are going to be new trailers, and it's, as it turns out, not entirely new. The 13 trailer had some new stuff. They showed some new environments that we hadn't seen before, and a longer version of when the dude on the motorcycle summons Shiva, who also turns into a motorcycle. And of course the game looks amazing, but still, they're holding a lot of the stuff close. You know,
Yeah.
We don't really know much beyond the main character Lightning and what we see at E3.
I really like seeing how they reinterpret the elemental summons every time, like Ifrit.
Well, they did show
and
Ifrit. That's
Shiva.
the first time you've seen Ifrit also.
Yeah.
But then the Versus 13 trailer was the same identical trailer they showed at Jump Festa. But then at the end, there's like 5 seconds of new content in which they show this new character who's very mysterious. They're wearing a cloak. And it's some sort of rival for the dude who looks like Tetsuya Nomura. And of course, that trailer is amazing. It's all CG, but it's among the best directed cutscenes in a video game I've ever seen. The other really surprising Final Fantasy thing was the Final Fantasy Agito 13, which was this trading card cell phone game, but who gives a fuck? But then suddenly we see what it looks like, and it's fully 3D, looks like a PS2 game, because it's for like some next-gen cell phone that comes out in 2 years. You know?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it looks better than a Wii game.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. But you know what game I'm looking forward to most? Like this one.
This game, Subarashi. It's a Wonderful World.
It's a Wonderful World.
I love this game.
This has got like kind of that Jet Set Radio punk feel,
It's
you know.
amazing. Like it's really creative. It's set in Japan.
The Shibuya area. I really like the music that they had.
Yeah,
the
it's
first
this really like esoteric
electro.
kind of hip hop electro stuff.
Yeah.
And the gameplay, if you haven't tried it yet, you really should. It's this game where you're fighting on the bottom screen and on the top screen. You're using the stylus, you're using the buttons. It's just really creative, super fun. And they also announced that's going to come out with a limited edition DS. And they didn't show it, but I bet it's going to look totally awesome.
I hope it does, because like what they've been doing a lot recently with those like limited edition DSs, they've just been putting like the little tribal logo on it, and that's it.
And it's a
It's
white
different
DS.
color.
Hopefully this is
if this is like red and white and got all this
I want
cool shit on
graffiti
it.
and stuff on it.
Yeah, totally, man.
My biggest letdown of the day was suddenly I hear Parasite Eve theme song, and I see a picture of Aya Brea, who's hot, like
And
holding
they're
a gun.
moving all this like stuff around.
Yeah,
like
she's holding a
blocking
gun
the
in her mouth,
picture.
and I'm like, fuck yeah, Parasite Eve 3 would be fantastic. Oh wait, it's for cell phones.
Yeah, that's a
disappointment
heartbreaker.
of like the day.
Maybe they're using the cell phone as a way to kind of like, you know, warm people back up to Parasite Eve, so that,
Right.
you know.
Hope springs eternal. The other big thing for me was Crisis Core, which has been
That looks good.
long time coming, finally playable, and I gotta say it's the best looking PSP game ever. And I think fans of FF7 will be really happy because it's very evocative. You're in Midgar. It looks, the characters look amazing. They look
Very
like
action heavy.
Yeah, and the gameplay itself is very action heavy, and I really enjoy it.
A lot of the typical melodramatic bullshit. Worm's eye view, a boot steps on screen, a sword scrapes into view, feathers drop.
That's what you want, all right?
I don't want feathers to drop!
I want feathers to
Tired of that!
違う翼はモンスターの証じゃないではこれは何だ天使の翼ならば天使はどんな目的を持てばいいんだ俺はどんな夢を見ればいいんだ
Which one? Dissidia Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
which is
it's like
Psychic Force. If you
Psychic
remember that
Force,
game.
Psychic Force of all your favorite Final Fantasy characters, like.
Except Zidane and Kuja are my least favorite.
Yeah,
Final
but
Fantasy
Zidane looked better in this than he did in 9.
Because Nomura redrew all the characters for this.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, so the characters they showed in that were those two, Cecil from 4, Sephiroth.
I'm sure it's gonna be like the Smash Brothers of Square characters.
I'm curious who's making it. If Square's making it, who knows? Maybe they're getting an actual fighting game developer to make it. Then we don't really know. In other Final Fantasy news, there's
I'm most stoked for Crystal Chronicles games, because
Ring of Fates. I don't know.
that game.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
play it?
I watched. I can play it tomorrow. But
I played it and I thought it was really fun because it's more streamlined, it's more linear, it's more
action,
cooperative.
right?
Yeah, it's much more focused because I really like the original Crystal
I
Chronicles.
liked it too,
but-
except for carrying that fucking pot of water.
Right, you don't have to bring the mana jar everywhere.
good.
You don't, or you don't have to have your Moogle carry it or whatever. It controls super well. It's still like a good multiplayer wireless action game. Unfortunately, it is not. It's not. You can't play it.
Well, yeah, they want you to.
connected
They want you to
internet.
invite your friends over and experience the camaraderie. But yeah, I want some Wi-Fi play. All right. I'm way more excited for the Crystal Bearers, which is the Wii game, because not only is it not a kiddie game, they redesigned the characters. They look kind of like Skies of Arcadia, which you said in your preview.
Yeah.
But it has pretty good graphics for Wii.
It does.
You're walking in a city. It looks kind of like
A lot of that
a
comes
budget,
down,
a
I
budget
think-
version of FF12.
I think a lot of that comes down to the art direction and character design.
What about Dragon Quest? So you played the Swords game.
I played the Swords game. That was
it's for kids.
It's like it is totally on rails. Like in order to advance, you push the D-pad forward. In order to move faster, you push the D-pad forward and press B.
But there are branching paths.
So at some point, you can choose to go left or right. It's for kids. It's for
Right.
kids. There's more depth than just walking forward and pressing the button. You gotta target things, and you can
Is the
move your
is the
shield
sword
around.
play actually fun? Does it work? I mean, does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, if you like waving shit at the TV, it's fun, but I personally won't really want to play it a lot, but what I did play wasn't bad.
Dragon Quest IX, which is a huge deal here
Right.
for DS, it wasn't playable, but there was a video on the big screen, and it looks cool. And the battles are back to being turn-based, because when they first announced it was an action game, and the fans did not like that. So it looks like it's being back to normal Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Looks good. I don't think it's gonna have a big impact in America, but here it's colossal. It's funny. Some of the things we saw 2 days ago at the pre-show really aren't on display here, like Last Remnant, the big Xbox 360, PS3.
Yeah, I thought they would have had at least a video display that showed Last Remnant,
and
running.
I think the game looks promising. It's still early, but I'm feeling it.
I was thinking about why did they bother using the Unreal Engine, because it's not something that the game doesn't look like something that they couldn't have done themselves. But I was thinking about the fact that the Unreal Engine is good for multi-platform stuff. So that makes an easy transition to put it on PS3 and Xbox 360, which is what they're doing simultaneously.
And I've even heard hints that maybe PC. We'll see. I mean, because it's an easy port to PC, you know. So why not? What about the 11 expansion? That's your realm, dude.
I'm very excited about the fact that they are actually continuing to support it, and they will support it. They'll support it for PS2, PC, Xbox 360.
I think you were more excited about the totally hot FF11 cosplayers you saw.
Oh my God!
I gotta say, cosplayers here, they take that shit seriously.
The quality, the level of the costumes look like something that you'd see walk off the set of Star Wars. It was that immaculate. The best one, in my opinion, was the Mithra. That is some good ass Dark Knight Mithra. I am telling you, that shit works.
So, closing thoughts. Day one, the Square Enix party. What do you think?
There's a lot of stuff. I'm glad we came out. It's good to see some stuff. It's a little hard to remain objective when you've seen 20 Tetsuya Nomura projects in a row. And I love the guy.
Yeah.
You know, I've known him for a long time. We've been friends for a while. And has his stature within the company risen so much that, you know, he says, I'm gonna create all the characters for all your games, because this is, you know, you can see the rise of the success of your games since I've started doing it. Or does somebody else say, like, no, Tetsuya does everything?
There's a point at which Square starts to feel like a milk factory when there are 20 Final Fantasy games and 10 Dragon Quest games. And, but at the same time, these are great series and they're great games. And for me, like FF13 and Versus 13 are, as I said, like my most anticipated games. And I know that these are going to be like, you know, defining titles for the generation and for the genre. And I'm very, very excited for it.
Went up with a laser.
Oh, you're fucked.
Fuck, you put down the shield. Oh!
Oh, shit.
Ah,
Mark,
I
the
forget that I
flight's
have it.
gonna leave in like a half an hour. Oh, high ground.
yes.
So how much did you guys play this weekend?
A lot.
Yeah, you were on pretty constantly the whole time.
Yeah.
So, and you hadn't played. So, what did you think?
All the improvements that they made and the additional equipment and the weapon changes, they all work really well and fit into like the Halo universe, like everything else. Like leaving like the bubble shield and shield doors and all that just instantly like works with everything else.
I'm surprised how often I will find there's like three things. Any of the equipment so far, like I'm always surprised when it's there. Like the bubble shield on high ground is almost always there. Like people aren't using it, and I don't know if that's like people just haven't figured out how to use it effectively, or they just are like, oh, it's something new. They haven't really grokked that this is a whole new thing. It should be like a whole new part of the strategy.
If you talk to different people, it's weird. Like everyone has their favorite weapons. Like I remember you telling me you like the Needler now, and then there's other people who like the dual brute spikers.
Yeah, the spikers.
Or like I like the brute shot a lot more now because it has a 6-shot before you have to reload.
Right.
And it doesn't bounce.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, it's like in Halo 2, you're always looking for that power weapon, right? I always felt like if I had a submachine gun, my default submachine gun, or even if I'm dual wield, I just felt like I was weak. But now it feels like whatever's the first weapon I'm gonna counter, or if I just stick with my assault rifle, I'll do okay. So it's still early to tell whether we're balanced yet. You know, like it's gonna take a lot of playing. But I think for now, at least it feels like it doesn't matter what combination I use, I'll be okay.
I mean, first of all, the gun you start with isn't that bad,
Yeah,
but you're never
rifle.
you're never far from like a battle rifle or like a carbine or just brute spikers or like, you know, even some people were telling the one gun that I haven't picked up at all really is the SMGs, but I think it was you saying they're
like
actually
more
much
powerful
better. But we talked to them about that too,
we-
about rebalancing the weapons. And they talked about that, like making it where more of the weapons are better and like none of the weapons are really suck. And they even talked about like the sword, but they said that even in multiplayer is gonna have like points, like energy attributed to it.
What's different? The sword depletes in multiplayer now, so
Depletes how?
when you get kills, it actually goes down. Whereas it did not in Halo 2. And that was the difference between single player and multiplayer.
Yeah.
Is the sword even innovative?
I don't
haven't
think
seen it.
is.
I think you just broke some rules or something. I don't think you're supposed to even talk about it.
Woo! Give it five! Okay, good. All right.
All right, next trick question.
Wait a second.
Next trick question. Is the Needler still screwed up, or is the Needler like kick
Oh, you haven't
ass
played
now?
yet?
You
It's
guys.
awesome. I love it.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah.
Finally, like raining down like pink needles of death is so satisfying.
So how is it different? Does each needle take enough more damage?
A lot of subtle nuances that have changed. The tracking has changed a little bit. We're playing with the amount of needles it takes to super detonate, which is what happens when enough get in a player. We wanted to make it a more viable, more powerful weapon, so we couldn't really make it dual wieldable and also do that.
The plasma pistol. The plasma pistol, like what did
haven't
you
seen it?
guys
What
done
happened in
about
the
the
new
noob
combo?
combo?
There's some
It doesn't track as well. from
doesn't
as far
track
away.
as well, and that's the major change. But there are some other minor things like when you're charging it now, it's constantly depleting. So all those jackasses that were running around in Halo 2 constantly charging their weapon, they can't really do that anymore.
Actually, the thing that I love about it, and maybe you guys aren't aware of this, a plasma pistol overcharged shot will disable a vehicle temporarily. It'll drop a Banshee from the sky like a rock.
Yeah.
Trouble, but yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, the power drainer, which I'm not going to talk about the name of that. I'm pretty sure the Care Bear stare can undo the power drainer.
It's the military. I mean, they're just very literal and just right to the point.
Exactly.
And on the earlier build, it was like why am I choosing a spike grenade like over the other ones? What do you guys? What do you like it for?
I love to use it down in the corridors and high ground where we had like sort of tight sort of proximity because now the needles like ricochet around.
If you're in an enclosed environment, you'll see it bounce around a few times. So it's not the initial blast that'll necessarily kill you. It could be a few stray rounds.
That sound that it makes when it sticks to a
But
player
the
is
fact
pretty
that
awesome.
you can
too,
stick
though.
it to anything
Yeah.
is really
The sound that
makes it
I'm really
versatile.
enjoying is the plasma grenade when you do stick it to somebody that.
Yeah, high pitched.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and you probably haven't yet, but when you die and it goes underwater, it actually changes the entire sound.
Like the really cool noise is like when you get. I'm sure everyone's heard it. You get shot in the head.
Harpoon going through a slab of beef or something.
Yeah, it's seriously like, oh, I've been shot in the head.
We have this like crazy distant echo battle sound now that's
Yeah,
like
The sound
I mean,
of
it's
like the
it
assault
sounds-
rifle or the battle rifle far away.
Yeah, it's like in Valhalla,
like-
you hear this
yeah.
like it's reverberating and it's echoing and
We we first got that into the game, I was actually at my desk with my headphones on, and I was like, oh my god, like 6 people ran over, and I was like, no, put this on, and then I would go somewhere else and fire it, and they're like, oh my god, this sounds so cool.
The other huge thing from the last time that we played it is that the XSplit and the, I don't know, what are you guys calling it formally? Like the deployables is what we've been calling it, equipment. Yeah.
Basically, the thing behind equipment is that we want it to be another layer on top of, guns, grenades, and melee. It's basically not to win the battle. It's not like press X to win. It's press X to tip the balance a little bit. You just change the face of the battle for a second, and then it's basically people how they react to that. So we've got in the beta we have the trip mine, which I don't know if you guys have played with yet. It's basically a pressure sensitive mine that you place on the ground, really nasty against vehicles. And then the portable grav lift too, which is only on high ground in the beta.
It's fun.
It's really fun.
It's kind of like a mini man cannon on the go.
Yeah,
it's like
you can put it anywhere.
Drop it anywhere you want.
Doesn't that make it more of a bitch to like test the levels where people are gonna be
People love super jumping in Halo 2, so now you can just
do it anywhere you want.
Well, and you guys aren't talking about, obviously you're not talking about single player, but like the philosophy with Halo 2 at least was basically if it's in single player, it's in multiplayer. If it's in multiplayer, it's in single player. Does that stand for Halo 3?
In most cases.
There could be some differences between multiplayer and
But
single player.
equipment in general, is that a concept that exists in Halo single player as well?
Let's just say that Halo Sandbox is everywhere in Halo, so I'll just say that.
Right.
That's fair.
And also, Halo 3, is it going to wrap up the story? Is this a trilogy? Or are we going to have some kind of cliffhanger that makes my heart hurt the way Halo 2 did?
And we've been pretty upfront about it. This is the final chapter in the trilogy that we started with Halo 1. This is the last chapter of the story. So we have a lot of loose ends to tie up, and of course in the true Bungie tradition there'll be plenty that we don't ever tie up, but I think people will be pretty satisfied with where it all ends up.
But
when I play SWAT and there's no radar, I'm awful. Like, I can't do anything. So I'm totally reliant on it.
What are you guys doing?
Playing Halo, dude.
Oh.
Dude, we gotta leave. We got 20 minutes.
Oh, right. All right.
God.
All right. Did you get my bag?
Take over. You got it? Yeah. All right. First thing we saw, SOCOM confrontation for PS3.
I'm not a SOCOM person. I mean, you're the SOCOM guy. What did you think of it?
Oh, nobody wants to say it. All right, I'll say it. It's SOCOM, but it didn't look good.
No.
It looked very plain.
Very early.
But
That's
it's
what you
only.
have to wonder. Like, I mean, is it just really?
Well, here's the
It's
thing.
very early, but coming out this holiday season.
And it's not being developed by Zipper.
Yeah.
Right. So they've only been in like 4 or 5 months into it, but it is coming out this fall. So it's like, okay, yeah, is it early or is it coming out this fall? It looked like SOCOM. It had the Middle Eastern setting. Like they haven't really put out a really bad SOCOM game yet.
The PSP one looked good.
The PSP one looked really interesting.
Was like full spectrum warrior kind of on a PSP.
It's tactical, right? You can switch between the 4 guys. Like graphically, even it looked really good on the PSP.
Really impressed with it.
Yeah.
All the PSP titles I saw today, like I was really impressed with like how they looked graphically. Like Siphon Filter, they announced a new one, and I thought that looked really impressive.
Yeah, that looks surprisingly good, and they actually like made a big point about the story and like the people that are doing the score, and it's like refreshing. Oh, you're not just shitting out like another PSP
Yeah, you didn't
port.
just get your level designer who's done some fan fiction to fucking write the story. You actually went out of your way to find a
Hey, I've read
writer.
some Siphon Filter fan fiction. It's not that bad.
How about God of War?
Well, yeah, the biggest
God of
PSP
War.
game, God of War 2.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
It's not God of War 2.
God of War, Chains of Olympus.
And it's a prequel.
So you watched them play it. So what about it?
Went through the whole demo. It was kind of short, but it was basically where the game starts. It starts with like a battle against the Persian army, which is kind of like all the God of War games start, little mini arena kind of thing. And then it goes into this little room, and then you do some other stuff, and it's cool. But then the best part is the end. You get to fight this Cyclops. He like bursts through this door, and the camera angle zooms up, and you think he's like this big boss. But then like 5 seconds later, after you're like, holding his weapon down and pushing it back, this bigger boss comes in and eats him, like literally. So it just shows like the sense of scale, and it does a good job of showing right away.
Well, they weren't letting us play it, but I mean, could you tell, were they talking about like if it was going to play very different?
It seems like it's going to play pretty much the same, except you'll have to think a little bit quicker before you roll.
Something else that had controls that were a little more complicated than I expected was Little Big Planet. Like, we finally got to play that the first time. I'm still excited about it. I still think it looks great, but like, you have to be thinking, okay, it's like L2 and R2 are like the control your arms, and if you want to hit somebody, you have to hold like L2 and then go from
do the sweep.
diagonal down in that, and you can't be moving, I think, at the same time you're doing that, and you grab onto things with the other L and R, and then it's just jump, so it's not really using much of the face buttons, it's just using the things. But I mean, you played it too. What'd you think?
I can't wait to
Yeah,
see
no,
more
I
of
thought
that.
it was
like,
okay. So like for me, it was like it was a little more difficult than it seemed when we saw them playing it at GDC, but like it was just as every bit as fun as I thought.
Yeah,
it would
like
be,
cooperating and like we've seen it all before, but playing it, I mean, it felt really great.
Not to be like the down on it guy, but they were talking like, oh yeah, and if you're sad and you interact with a angry person, then you give them a hug, or if you're this or that, and I'm like, I thought this was gonna be like the simplest, super simple game.
Like, I think those are all optional. Like, if you don't want to play it that way, you just want to go through the levels, you want to interact with your friends and stuff, that's fine. But like, if you really want to, like, if you want to start slapping them and all that, or if you want to try to like slap them 5 or whatever,
The big concern is if one person's a dick and they just kind of sit back and it's like, how do you
And that's why I'll never play it with strangers.
All that I see in home is these kind of like mall wandering douchebags where it's like, seriously, if I saw these people in real life, I would walk the other way.
Yeah,
and I'd be.
That's been my complaint with home since day one. I didn't want it to look realistic. I wanted to like have like a funny character.
They seem to be holding to that.
Did anybody do anything else with home? Were you able to? I mean, it's kind of hard in this
environment. I walked around a little bit. I went to like, it actually was surprised there's a lot that's missing from this than from actually what we even saw demonstrated at GDC. So it's like, right now it's kind of limited. It feels limited. I don't know.
You can go play pool.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But it's still like, you're not down on the idea.
I think the idea is freaking amazing. I mean, it's like you have an MMO in your PS3, really.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. You really do.
have MySpace on your PS3. Who asked for that?
End up being really, really cool. It just needs to. It's going to evolve. That's all. Like,
Yeah, they keep saying we're gonna roll it out in waves. We're gonna roll it out.
That's
waves.
something
And
we-
I'm like, okay, what's the first wave gonna be like? And then how long is the second wave gonna be?
Folklore. Brian, you were playing that a lot. Kathleen, you played that a lot yesterday.
I actually liked it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I did
it
too.
was something I didn't expect. It was.
Why do you seem to be apologizing
Well,
for that
no,
you liked
because
it?
at
From the
RPG
makers
was
of Genji comes Folklore.
And, like Shane isn't here to love on it.
But at
Like,
least
you
they
gotta
found the
stand
right
with
analog
it.
stick. I'm glad they finally found that right analog stick for controlling the camera. So God bless them. But it was fun. It was a fun. Yeah, it still needs work.
Camera.
Still
it's
needs
like
work.
too tight, and it's got problems that like I've seen in other JRPGs, and they never fix them, and they never have.
Yeah, but the
and
whole
I'm
idea of
worried.
collecting the monsters and like
Yep.
and you can evolve
like
them
Pokemon that actually do something and look pretty.
I actually liked it. I don't care what anybody
Okay.
says. I liked
It's
it.
like
It's the
RPG.
first
Yeah.
time in a long time with a 6-axis bullshit. Like it felt like it actually worked. It was a mechanic that I'm capturing a monster. I'm flinging him toward me. Simple, easy.
Yep.
Works.
Right. My personal other like game that I kind of got turned around on while being here was Heavenly Sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, so I mean,
In a
let's see.
negative way, you
Wait, see.
Wow.
May
In the 3 minutes they gave us.
May 2006, we have 2 minutes gameplay, and now we got 4 years later.
I think it was closer to 3.
I think it was less.
You really
But
dragged it out.
take aside. Let's put aside my worry about that game. Let's put aside how long the demo here was. Like, what did that show us? Like, my worry was that so much of the game was going to be that Dragon's Lair, like XO square, blah blah blah, and there was some of that in the demo. But what I finally got a sense of is now, okay, what's the depth of this game? And it is kind of a Devil May Cry, a God of War kind of game, but like it's really cool how you have these 3 stances basically, and the enemies attack you with the different kinds of stances. So if you're in the stance and not doing anything, you block automatically, which is like kind of a cool new mechanic. And otherwise, like the combos you're doing, like in a God of War, Devil May Cry, on accident, are like so cool looking. Everything you're doing is just looks
You're
cool.
picking up and throwing things.
I don't know.
Well, it's a little, the collision detection is a little weird. The frame rate is just a little
But
there's
switching
definitely
between the stances is super easy. My question is, they keep saying there are going to be adventure elements, and they still will not show or talk about it.
Yeah, and I feel like you move from arena to arena.
Yeah.
The few things that they've shown us have me wanting to see more, and it makes me wonder, like, why don't you show us more? Why?
Ratchet and Clank Future, the one I like. That game looked, I think, one of the best
looking games, and it already looked, they were like apologizing, like this is still early, please remember that. And it's like, what? This looks like it should be a demo. This looks like polished as a boss fight.
Weird disco
The
ball
disco
weapon
ball.
with all the dancing was
Yeah,
really
just
cool.
the little and the animations that the enemies were doing, it was
The
so
little specifics, like the attention to detail, like every single little enemy has a different little dance move to go with the disco ball, and they won't always move in synchronicity. Sometimes they'll move out of sync just to be funnier, and it's like those little details and just the level of polish that it's showing it has me super excited for it.
Pain. Sam, you're shaking your head.
Basically, what you're doing is like you're trying to create pain for your characters. So you're like in this like slingshot thing, and you're flying through the air, and then you hit like a billboard or you hit a car. Or you just basically the more pain, the better. You get more points for it.
And there's little mini games too, where like you have to hit certain I
Spank
noticed
the
some-
monkey.
Yes, like
Hit the
just
mime.
things to upset moms, basically. Like
What it reminded me of was the things that you end up doing in Crackdown or a GTA,
Right.
but
Right.
a game built around just that part without the main game. I mean, I think the way that game could succeed if it becomes a game like Pokemon Snap, which might sound like a weird thing to say, but if it's a game where it's like, oh, did you know if you hit the guy and he hits the cereal thing, that actually will fall and hit something else. Right. And what they were talking about, the trade movies part of it, I think could be really cool.
They didn't say is there a way to record movies?
Yeah,
there's like a replay editor.
Big
okay.
community thing. They want to
Cool.
do that. Yeah.
Cool. Then I could imagine it going somewhere definitely.
Yeah. Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
Yeah.
Game of the show for me, no doubt. Game
I
of the
think
show.
so, yeah,
Game of the
that's
show.
it.
I mean, visually it looked. I mean, like jungle is always tough because you got the plants and
There's a little too much sheen on it. Like there's more things they're
Yeah.
gonna do to make it look better, but right.
I thought it looked really good. I mean, I was pretty. The water looked amazing.
The
I mean,
animations
and
were.
you know what? There's only a third of the animations in that build. There's still 2/3 missing. I mean, inside some targeting, like the guns weren't tuned right. Like, it took like forever to kill a guy, but it just felt really good. Like a little Prince of Persia, a little Gears of War, like.
They talked about like Resident Evil 4, Gears of War, like the games they were referencing is like,
Yeah,
okay, you guys.
They said all the right games.
They
knew
did,
all
and they
the
said
big
that to me
buttons
earlier, and I was like,
for
well,
it.
how's it all going to work? And it's very simple, like hiding behind covers, very simple. You press circle to kind of go there, but like it's got those little things, like if guys running, he hears up shoot fire, like he'll get scared almost a little bit.
It needs a lot of tuning.
Yeah,
it does need to.
If it gets it, it'll be the
But
best
the
thing
potential
ever.
is amazing. I like the idea of the story. I mean, the setting is really cool, and I mean, visually, it just wow. But I say that was by far game of the show for me.
I think I expected it to be. So like when I got there and it didn't control perfectly, I was a little bummed. But I still think it's the best thing there.
Yeah, by far.
Except, well, God of War.
Overall, like how do you guys think Sony did?
I'd say it was very solid. Nothing was like really wowed me. I mean, Uncharted was probably the closest, but I thought overall it was a
Yeah,
really
I mean,
solid.
I thought it was a good. I mean, Uncharted, Ratchet looked pretty good. Some surprise, like I think Folklore is going to be anything special. It was good. So I mean, and PSP looks like it's finally picking up steam with all the stuff they announced today, like all the things you saw. Then Crisis Core coming out and some of the other stuff I rumored to come out for PSP. It looks like there's finally like good original stuff coming out for that platform.
So you guys still aren't mentioning Heavenly Sword, which still to me was like the revelation of this show. Is that just me?
I liked it before better.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
because I wanted to see more.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to see everything that they
my biggest disappointment is that they didn't show more of it.
I'm gonna run away right now. Game on all night. I'm gonna be on the one.